Having trouble with navel orangeworm in the orchard? Sidetrack Now Miso Mating Disruption is your best bet to minimize loss and maximize profitability. Used with Tresse's new multi-gender lures for your monitoring program, you can achieve the quality yields you deserve. Contact your local sales rep today.
Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual conference of the Almond Board of California. I'm here with one of the newer members of the Almond Board team, Keith Schneller. He was on a panel here at the conference talking about trade in China, and I know since the onset of the Biden administration, things have been kind of quiet with regard to what's going on with our trade agreement with China. There was a lot of talk and frustration and things going on with the trade war and the international trade dispute, as it was coined.
Yep.
Where do we stand now? And Keith here, long before he was here with the Almond Board, was working on some of this stuff in his previous positions. Tell us a little about that, and then where we stand.
Right. Yeah, I'm an old farmer at heart, but I was working after farming. I went to work for USDA for the Foreign Agricultural Service, and I spent about 12 years living in different parts of China working for USDA, promoting U.S. ag exports to the China market. And then I came back and I worked at the U.S. Trade Representative's Office for 2 years on the U.S.-China Phase 1 trade agreement. And I left there last year and was going to take early retirement, and then this opportunity came up to work with the Almond Board. It was a great honor for me, but there was one part of that China trade agreement that hasn't been completed, and that was us having market access for our almond hulls in the China market. So just to give you an update, Matthew, on where we're at with that, it was part of the trade agreement. The Chinese customs authorities promised that they would implement an import protocol allowing the almond hulls to go into China. They kept their commitment. They signed the import protocol with APHIS, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. But after that, we found out we have to, if it's a new feed ingredient in China, just like a new feed ingredient in the United States, it has to go through a fairly lengthy registration process. So since I've started with the Almond Board in April, we've submitted a very comprehensive application to the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture, and now their technical review committee has that application, and they're looking at it, and hopefully they will accept that and add almond hulls and almond hull products to their official feed ingredient list, and then we can start exporting. So we're hoping before next year's harvest, we'll be able to start shipping almond hulls into the China market. So that will give our hullers an additional outlet for their byproduct, right? And
that's really important news, and I know it's coming later on than we had hoped. But just knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, we'll get this registered. We've got a lot of holes and shells that can go to good use across the sea.
Well, it's been an interesting year for the feed market. You know, corn prices, soybean prices are high, alfalfa prices are all higher. So it sounds like most of our almond hulls are already spoken for in the local dairy markets here in California. But you never know what's going to happen next year, and hopefully there will be some opportunities. We're still facing logistical problems as well, getting containers out. But just for an update on the Phase 1 agreement, it was a 2-year agreement that went into effect on March 14th of 2020, February 14th. It was signed and went into effect in March, so we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary. And it looks like the Chinese will probably import about $40 billion worth of ag products from the United States. And this year, the United States will have a record export of around $175 or $180 billion worth of ag exports to the world. So that means the China market takes about 25% of our products. So soybeans are the biggest, but almonds are right up there. So it's the largest probably horticultural specialty crop that we export to China. So we're working with FDA to fix the facility registration requirement, and once that's behind us, we should have smooth sailing into the China market. And we're still trying to develop other markets so we don't place all of our eggs in one basket.
Right, and China's been very limited with the tariffs and stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
So is there a light at the end of the tunnel for that? I
Yeah.
mean, it's very volatile because we've changed administrations and we're not really certain, right, what priority the Biden administration is giving to this issue, right?
Yeah, Matthew, you're exactly right. You go back, we've got all of these supply chain problems right now that we're experiencing. If you go back 2 years ago, before the Trump administration put in those tariffs, 25% tariffs on about $370 billion worth of imports from China. A lot of retailers in the United States, they pushed really fast to get product into the United States before the tariffs went into effect. The tariffs went into effect, and then we had the pandemic. So the supply chain experience that we're suffering right now actually started 2 years ago. So we're just now feeling the pain. The Chinese retaliated with they retaliated against our 301 duties and against the steel and aluminum duties. But they've implemented a waiver process on the 25% 301 duty on our almonds. So the importers don't have to pay that duty, but on the 232 steel and aluminum duties, which is 15%, that's still in place on our almond exports to China. So we're waiting for the Biden administration. We'll see what happens, and so far, nothing's really changed from the previous administration.
Right. Well, we'll hope and pray things happen. Obviously, some good things that you mentioned here today and making progress. We look forward to reading more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.